Hi, my name is Ken Osaer. My presentation is on the Chippewa Valley School District financial reporting of their budget from the 2014 to 2015 school year. A little bit of background about the school district that I work in. Chippewa Valley Schools is the second largest public school district in Macomb County, behind Utica Schools. We service Clinton Township and Macomb Township. We ended up being the eighth largest public school district in the state of Michigan, so we are a big district. We have 23 schools, uh, three high schools, including our alternative one, and with the two non-alternative high schools, we have separate buildings for the ninth grade centers to provide a transition year for them. All told, we have approximately 16,300 students and 1,800 employees, which actually makes us one of Macomb County's largest employers. That 1,800 number includes about 900 teachers. With that, we actually received the lowest possible per pupil foundation allowance from the state, which has always been an issue in our district, trying to be as efficient as possible with our money, because we have a much lower per pupil rate than all of the surrounding districts. So we've always had to do just as much, if not more, with less resources. This actually helped us out a lot when we went through the recession. That we were a little bit more well prepared than some of the other districts, because we were used to having a little bit less funding already. So Chippewa Valley Schools reports the following 12 things to the public to promote the transparency of where the funds come from and where do they go. The first thing, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, is the annual operating budget and the subsequent revisions of it. Usually there's two amendments on average a year. They report the projections July 1st, and usually have to amend it, like I said, twice a year. We provide a summary of expenditures. So what are we spending our money on? It's broken up into personnel expenditures and also the operating costs of what our district does per year. All of our collective bargaining agreements, our healthcare plans, audit reports, and even with the healthcare, we have to post the bids from the healthcare companies to making sure that we're having the most efficient and cheapest plan that we can for our benefits. All this stuff is posted on the Chippewa Valley School website. It's also salary and benefit description of the superintendent, and also the employees that are making $100,000 or more per year. The fifth thing is the annual amount spent on dues paid to different associations, whether it be the teachers union, whether it be the administrators union, or any other various ones throughout our district. We have the annual amount spent on lobbying or lobbying services, which we actually had zero spent on that in 2014-2015. Our seventh thing, which we actually don't have, is deficit elimination plans, because right now we are not facing a deficit. So that's not applicable to our district at the moment, which is a great thing. Eighth thing is the district credit cards, the procedures for who gets them, how we use them, how much is spent, how much is reimbursed, what it's spent on. Same thing for out-of-state travel. Anytime an employee goes out of state for business-related purposes, it has to be logged and determine how much is spent on that and reported through our website to the public. We have our district purchasing policy, how we go through how to purchase different things through the district. This is online. We also get emails at least 3 or 4 times a year reminding us how to get competitive bids, to purchase different items, um, and those have to go through approved companies through the district to making sure that we're maximizing our dollars. Uh, we also have the expense reimbursement policy, what gets reimbursed, how it gets reimbursed. Um, that's for our employees, for everybody to see. And then the last thing is the statement of those reimbursed expenses. So there are a lot of things that the district needs to put together for the public to see, but this is all good stuff to make sure that we are as transparent as possible and everybody knows where our funds and our money are going to. Here's a nice little pie chart for the 2014-2015 school year about how we spent our general fund money through the 2014-2015 school year. It was about 144 million, and about 56.63% was spent on salary of employees. This included teachers, administrators, both at the school and at the district level, um, support staff, anybody employed by the district. Um, the insurance costs down at the bottom is about 12.5 million, about 8.8%. It's for current employees, the health insurance costs, and dental and vision. The big chunk that keeps on growing, which is probably our most difficult chunk to manage, I would say, especially when it comes to rewarding the current employees and the current teachers with various steps and pay raises and different things like that, is the retirement costs are going up every year. Right now, that ends up being almost 24% of our total budget. We have other personnel expenditures is just over $1 million. We have professional technical purchase services and other purchase services. Our substitute teachers are through a private company. Our custodial staff is through a private company now. So this is where some of that stuff comes out of. We spend about $6 million or 4% on supplies and materials. About 93,000 on purchase transportation services, about $1 million in fund modifications, and your miscellaneous other expenditures, about 0.25%, $373,000. That is our budget broken up into personnel expenditures, which is one way that we have to report it in a nice pie chart so everybody can see it clearly, the percentage of what's being spent where. It's also broken up into operating procedures. So not only where the money goes to in terms of salary and how we're paying the people to do it, but also what are those people doing. So obviously in the school district, the biggest chunk here, about 2/3, 66.3%, is instructional expenditures. Almost $95 million is spent on providing a good quality instructional experience. This includes the teachers benefits, and also the retirement costs of those teachers. The pupil support services is about 9%. Even though they have the highest salaries, obviously there's the fewest of the general administration, the district administration. It's only about 0.5% of our budget. So not a big piece of the pie, even though those people are making the most money in our district. The instructional staff support services is about 3%, just over 3%. School administration, these are your principals, assistant principals, are making about 6 1/3 of the operating budget. Business services is about 1.3%. So the people that put all this stuff together, that know where the money's coming from, where it's going, keeping track of all of that, is about 1.3%. The operations and the maintenance. So keeping the buildings um, up to date, not necessarily providing new additions or things like that. That would come out of the buildings fund. But this is maintenance, cutting the grass, keeping things looking clean, things like that. The custodial staff. Transportation is just under 3%, so all the school buses. The central and other support services is just over 3 million. Community service outreach and projects, we spend 852,000, or about 0.6%. Facilities acquisitions, debt service, capital outlay, uh, not too much spent on that, about 0.18% of the budget. And again, that fund modification is still just over a million, just like it was last slide with the personnel expenditures. And again, our district needs to report both the personnel and the operating expenditures. With all that being said, each year we have added to our general fund balance. Our total expenditures every year is approximately 145 million, plus or minus some. And right now we have a balance of over 18 million. That's our rainy day fund, in case we need to dip into that. That is over 10%, which is required by state law. So right now we are in a good fiscal position as a school district. All of that was based off the general fund. There are other funds, obviously, for the school district. The food service fund, so setting up breakfasts and lunches every day. Revenue generated is $3,868,100. That comes from various local, state, and federal sources. The expenditures for that is $3,781,360, which is slightly less. So they were able to project an excess there that would go into the fund balance for the food service fund. The building activities, this is all local sources from a bond issue. It's just over $2 million, and we expect to spend that full $2 million upgrading buildings, upgrading classrooms, technology, things of that sort. Our district also houses the International Academy of Macomb. This is an IB school that we share with multiple school districts in Macomb County, but it's housed in one of our ninth grade centers. The building is big enough to hold both our ninth grade center and this separate high school. But how the high school is run is that the teachers who teach there are paid like they would be from their district. So we do have a revenue of $4,164,194, but the expenditures were over that. This is our one where our expenditures are larger than the revenue, so they did have to go into the fund balance of the International Academy, but they were still on the positive, still had almost $800,000 even after the expenditures outweighed the revenue left in that fund balance. This is how the Chippewa Valley schools are funded. Have a great night.